The only real unifying denominator among preppers these days is people who are smart enough to be aware of what the world is like, and they have the gumption to do something about it. That's a quote by John Ramey, a former innovation advisor in the Obama administration. And it's about prepping. I came across an article about preppers on Reuters, and it's a recent article from this month, so a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago maybe. Just talking about prepping. Specifically, they followed a person, I think the person who wrote the article, or contributed to it anyway, attended a prepping event in Colorado. Basically, you know, like where booths and things are set up, and people talk about prepping, and they hawk their wares and this, that, and the other. And some of the observations that were made, and I'm going to read you a little bit of this, but some of the observations that were made were that the people, the type of people who are interested in prepping and starting to be preppers and these types of things, the demographic has changed dramatically from what used to be, you know, go figure, white guys with beards, you know, is literally what they talk about, to where it's, you know, it's Latinos and it's black people and women, single mothers, obviously still white guys with beards, families, etc., that are involved in prepping. There's also been, in this article mentions it as well, studies showing that preppers, people who call themselves preppers, who, you know, do the things, as we all like to say, do the things, and, you know, have the food and the water and the beans and the Band-Aids and the bullets and all that stuff, that the numbers have doubled since 2017 of people who call themselves preppers, who are preppers, to somewhere around what the government stats say is around 20 million. I don't know if that's an accurate number or not, but that's what they're saying. I do know that just in my little sphere, I observe real world. I am the real world prepper, by the way. Thanks for being here. But in the real world that I have observed that there are more people in my, again, immediate circle that are involved in prepping. Some of that is because of my influence. Some of it is just what that John Ramey guy said in that quote about people wanting to know, you know, understanding what's going on in the world and what they can do, you know, to provide and protect for themselves. So, let's see. So let me read something here. It says, yeah, researchers say the number of preppers has doubled in size to about 20 million since 2017. A lot of that growth is from minorities and people considered left of center politically, whose sense of insecurity was heightened by Donald Trump's 2016 election, the COVID-19 pandemic, the frequent extreme weather, and the 2020 racial justice protests following the murder of George Floyd. So if we're looking at that at face value, it's, you know, even leftists who prop up St. Floyd, just using that one example, they see what the response is, you know, and the response, the negative response, was largely by people on the left. You know, you didn't see conservatives going out there and burning down buildings and looting businesses and, you know, attacking people and that kind of thing. You just didn't see that. Let's see. So this person that wrote this article is Brooke Morgan. And she goes on in this article to say that she grew up in a prepper family and still considers herself self-reliant, ready to handle disaster. Let's see. The diversification of prepping was clear last weekend at the Survival and Prepper Show at the fairgrounds in Boulder County in Colorado. It's a liberal district where President Joe Biden won in 2020 by nearly 57 percentage points over Trump. Let's see. Over 2,700 people paid $10 to attend the show. Bearded white men with closely cropped hair and heavily tattooed arms were there. But so were hippie moms carrying babies in rainbow-colored slings and chatting about canning methods, Latino families looking over greenhouses, water filtration systems, and members of the local Mountain View Fire Rescue Team, who in 2021 battled a devastating fire in the region, giving CPR demonstrations and encouraging citizens to be more prepared for extreme events. So prepping, I guess we could say, is becoming mainstream. And that's a good thing. I believe that's a good thing because people are starting to wake up. Maybe not enough of them, but people are starting to wake up in big numbers. But, you know, it's easy to wake up and to be woke in that regard, you know, to be awoken to the ideas of preparing and self-sufficiency, because we are in tumultuous times and they are getting worse, I do believe. And it's, you know, it's crazy how fast this stuff is happening. Attendees and those running booths said that the show reflected concerns of millions of Americans who no longer feel that they can always count on the government or private industry to provide the basics like electricity, food, and water. Let me tell you something. If you count on the government or the private industry for any of those things, your head is somewhere else. Okay, let's just say that. I'll put it nicely. They cited that the pandemic disruption of supply chains, the 2021 power grid in Texas that left millions without water, and the most recent outages for thousands of AT&T users are some of the things, you know, that just in immediate thought is what they go to about why they do what they do, why they are having the mindset about prepping and preparedness that they are having. Chris Ellis is a colonel in the U.S. Army who works on disaster preparedness and recovery, and he's a leading researcher into the prepper movement, and he's tracked its growth to 20 million based on household resiliency data from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. He said that what shapes individual preppers, which he defines as someone who can live for a month with no outside support. But let's see, he said what shapes these individual preppers, as described, is how they react to one single question: do I feel safe? People want to regain, this is a quote, people want to regain their agency, their sense of control, and do something to match their fears to their actions. Let's see here. People motivated by climate change, Ellis said, tend to be homesteaders who grow their own food, move to more climate-proof locations, such as the mild summer haven in Duluth, Minnesota. That was one example. But again, you know, the only real unifying denominator among preppers these days is those who are smart enough to be aware of what the world is like and have the gumption to do something about it. Are you doing something about it? Are you doing enough about it? What more can you do? Well, there's lots of things you can do. You can keep doing the things, the basics, of course, but definitely you could be strengthening not only your own family and you all's connection, your spiritual connection obviously needs to come first if you're spiritual, if you believe in God, which I pray that you do. Strengthening your preps themselves, you know, the things like we talk about, doing the things, you know, having things on hand, having ways to purify water, get water, you know, if you can't. If all you've got is some bunky old pond water, have a way to clean it and drink it, you know. Have the medical supplies on hand for emergencies. Know how to use this stuff. You know, have food that you can put up for long term. Have protection, you know, all of the things. So propping up and strengthening your relationship with God. Propping up and strengthening your relationship with your family. Also, your community around you. Hopefully, you've got a community around you of like-minded folks. If not, it should be, as I've said many, many times, on your priority list to share these ideas with the people around you so that they too may be involved. And then you guys can, you know, you and the community, those around you can help one another and serve one another. You know, no man is an island, you know. So just want you to think about these things. Do you feel safe? I am RWP, the Real World Prepper. Thank you so much for being here. See you later.